Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. We are back here now for another round of racing after what has been a little bit of a shaky start to this one. We're just trying to get one of the drivers in, but we are live for round number 12 of season number 7 of WOR Legacy Division here at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. It is going to be an absolute blinder of a race with myself, James Otto, alongside now my started to become a bit more of a usual co-commentator pairing now in the good old Adam Roberts-Bobberts himself. Right, my friend, we are in for our final Banhards race here at the Circuit of the Americas. It is a race pretty much known for its really intense sort of strategy. Of course, the undercut of extremely powerful around here. With the hards now banned, it's going to offer a very interesting flavour indeed.
Wow, there's some interesting weather. Yes, certainly is. It's a some of these drivers have already done it in WR as it is, obviously not in the legacy division aspects, but obviously in the crossplay tier, and so some of them will have experience from this already as it is, some of them may not. But yeah, certainly going to bring another spanner in the works, I guess you could say, for them. But yeah, expect a 2-stop, obviously. Soft for probably the beginning of the race, and then 2 medium sets of tyres afterwards. But yeah, certainly going to throw a few extra bits of strategy, let's just say, maybe to be included in this. When do you go longer? But we know here the undercut is so powerful around Kota, and tonight is going to be no different, if not going to be even bigger for these drivers. But what is going to be an interesting session, as people can see the number of retirees that we've got in this, and that we may have to go through as to why that is.
Yeah, we'll go through that one in just a second. Here is the grid for tonight's race then. Dirk and Silo leading the way for SCI tonight. They can become champions here, albeit they need a lot of things to fall in favour for them to become champions here tonight, SCI. More than likely it will be next week for that one. Lorenz Ryderdal for ET8. Justin is serving a qualifying ban here for FRT tonight with Quantum down in the field as well. RSC, real mixed bag for the team at second place in the championship. Enzo's got to serve his qualifying ban here tonight. That's Yoopawop. And Epic Vale will be serving a 5-place grid penalty for him. Nicholas and Max Ventauri, Alex Loffer and Ivan Skreek for AMR. For BRC, you've got Polymassy and Bino as per usual, but both of those have now got to serve a qualifying ban themselves. More about that one in a second. Fastest Stay True, Robin and Harm. GT10 are serving a double qualifying ban as a result of the excessive amount of penalties that they ended up getting last time out at Bahrain. Again, more about that one in a second. And then Seb and Phil rounding out for IRT. It goes into the standings actually very quickly. Here, there is 483, 365 at the moment for the front two. The Shazoo Cedar Igniter, very, I'll put it bluntly here, can become champions again here tonight. It's not more than likely that they're going to become champions here. It's just the numbers don't really fall in their favour. But next week, it's certainly more than likely. AMR are third overall. Then you've got Ventari in 4th. ET8 climbing to 5th now with Fastest Stage, Future Racing Team in 6th with Grand Track 10 in 7th. You've got International Rated Team on 8th, climbing up the standings as well with Fastest Stage True, now 9th for BRC. Again, double qualifying ban for them, not going to help the case there at the foot of the field on 130 points in 10th. We'll get straight into the live stream here. Because fundamentally it is raining out on circuit here, which obviously makes things much more interesting in terms of qualifying. And then if it's a dry race, no hards available, I think we're going to have the best of all scenarios here tonight.
We certainly are. We are going to get pretty well. Yeah, if qualifying is going to stay wet all the way through, then yes, we're going to certainly get a bit of everything here tonight. As it is, the intermediates is the choice of tyre for a lot of these drivers. I mean, wets are not really a thing in this game, let's be brutally candid, so it's very rare that you do see them. So yeah, intermediates for everybody who's going to be at least, setting a qualifying lap, and that is going to be, like you said, 14 of the 20 drivers, so well, hopefully positions 1 to 14 will be settled here, but as we know here, around Kota, easily able to corner cut and track extend a numerous amount of corners here. I mean, literally the entire first sector is a possibility. You can even cut at the end of the, well, there's going to be no DRS activated here in qualifying, but the end of the second straight, and even through the final couple of corners, of the penultimate corner in particular itself. So the driver's going to find it tough, but at least it is, not under the strong daylight sunshine as you find normally in Texas. It's actually raining, which, not really something they're used to, as Robin, who I'm bored with, is just sliding his car every single through every single corner. It's not really how you take this track, but nonetheless, at least he's going to get a time on the board to kick us off. It's 1:45.8, but they expect everybody to go much quicker than that, potentially into the 1:30s at some point, maybe.
Yeah, the sole FRT driver here, Quantum, is now making his way around the rest of the circuits. He comes across the line and goes fast as 1:44.5 for this one. Not a bad lap time indeed. Silo, though, immediately showing his work by putting a couple of tenths on him. Keep an eye on Laurens as well, the Frenchman, looking to try and get some decent points on the board again for ETA. It's been a very, very poor season from ETA standards. A couple of runners-up spots the last couple of seasons. Now they're going to be falling to potentially one of their lowest positions in over 5 seasons. So this is going to be relatively challenging for them. P4 for Laurens overall as Sieve goes behind Robin, but Ryderdal showing his pace with a 44.1. Down the field here, Max van der Geest, 45.5 for the Ventari man, beaten by Ivan Eskrig. Now up to P4 for the man at AMR as Alex Lofo goes above him as well to go P4. Makes it AMR 4 and 5 respectively. Decent stuff. Keeping an eye out on all the other laps as well. Harm set an invalid lap on that occasion. So next person to set a lap out of those people that haven't set a lap at the moment will be this man, IRT Phil, the veteran driver over at International Racing Team. Has been a very topsy-turvy sort of season for IRT here, but they really showed their pace last time out at Bahrain.
They certainly did, yes, after watching it back, honestly, from my side. But yeah, IRT certainly did show their pace. And we've not seen it enough this season, as you rightly said. And yeah, finally they've been able to get, not one but two drivers getting a good haul of points, second and fourth place. They certainly needed it to try and at least propel themselves a bit further away from FST and BRC. Still got a bit of a task to do if they want to close back in on GT10, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. You've just got to make sure you can get the work done and actually get the drivers to set, well, firstly good lap times in qualifying, but also produce the goods in the race. Phil comes through, as I call it, the fake turkey, turns 7, 8 and 9 through the penultimate corner. No such problems there. Car gets completely out of his way through the final corner. Now get the power as best as you can. Car trying to unsettle slightly there, but not real problems. It's a 44.7, puts in P5, separates the two Ferrari drivers there as it currently stands, and there goes Lorenz into P6 for ETA. It's looking pretty good at the moment. As you said though, Jota, as what has been a torrid season for them for the most part. I mean, yes, they've had 2 victories and 2 second places and a third to go with that. Nothing else though really stands out. I mean, there is still a chance they can finish runners up again, but they've got to keep this form going, I guess you could say, from last week.
Rapid Vale's internet connection falling a little bit by the wayside once again for the man down in P14 without a lap time on the board. Dirk yet to set a lap either as well for FCI at the moment in what could be their championship winning race here tonight, although less than likely in comparison to the next week's race at the Mystery Grand Prix would expect. They've probably got a higher chance of winning it there, but situation report at the moment, top 10 all separated by what's that one, around about 1.7 seconds at the moment. Robin at the foot of the field is on an outlap at the moment, but plenty of opportunities here, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is a short qualifying event as well, so everyone's got to get on with it here. This is the reason why people's known is retiring at the moment. Keeping an eye out on Quantum, who's on an outlap as well at the moment. Opportunity for him to potentially get on the front row, especially considering his teammate Justin not taking part in this qualifying either due to a qualifying ban. Worth talking about the qualifying bans actually for a moment. We'll start with GT10. Fundamentally, a 21-second penalty doesn't help your case, because it meant that he got 21 penalty points, which took them through the 15 and 30-point threshold as a result of that incident with GT10 Uncle last time out in Bahrain, and that's the reason why both of them are serving a qualifying ban, as Nicholas has gone fastest.
Indeed, yeah, I was on board with Nicholas. Actually looked like a pretty good lap, but the weather is certainly easing up. Actually, you can tell that the rain is getting much lighter compared to how it was a good 5-6 minutes ago. But yes, yeah, getting 21 seconds worth of penalty points, and like I said, not having one but 2 qualifying bans does not do you any good, for a team that's been trying to bounce back a little bit and with some good form a little bit earlier on in the season, and then doing something like that, not really ideal going into tonight, as again time's coming in thick and fast here now, into low 43s there by Alex Loffer, goes 3 tenths clear near enough of his teammate there, Ivan Eskrig. But yeah, that's just to name the first part, and then obviously we do have Not quite the same for the teams as to why they've picked up penalties, but obviously RSC picking up 15 penalty points have a single driver qualifying ban on their behalf. Obviously BRC with an invalid lineup have a double quali ban, so not really doing themselves any good either.
May have just heard me in the background there. Sorry, I'm just actually pulling out the clip that had occurred last time out in Bahrain involving GT10 Uncle. I still stand by what was a pretty horrific incident between him and FRT David. To put it bluntly, definitely broke too early into the corner. I will give credit where credit is due to the stewarding committee for the exact wording of this one, which was Tony picks up a slightly bit of oversteer mid-corner, meaning he has forced David off the track, which we deem a 1-second penalty. Afterwards, he brakes way too early, which we deem a retaliation, and award a 20-second penalty. So by calling it a retaliation, they're avoiding what is effectively just a brake check.
Yes, exactly. It's in common tongue. Yeah, yes, it is known as a brake check, but yes, it's very well put, obviously, by the stewarding team, at least, for putting that out there and doing it as professionally as possible, which is what you'd expect. So yeah, good effort, good job by the rest of them there, but hopefully that'll be a lesson learned for not just the for Uncle himself, but perhaps to the rest of the grid as well at the same time, to say, this is not something we take lightly. You've got to be professional to all the racing drivers who are going to be with you, the rest of the 9 teams that are competing against you. And yes, like I said, do not take it lightly, as I'm bored with Quantum at the moment. Comes to the end of the middle sector, 1.1 seconds up, which currently will put him on the front row of the grid, as Phil has actually got himself on that front row in P2. But yeah, like I said, the grip is certainly increasing, I guess is the word we could say, and Quantum's certainly finding that.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Robin, has gone second fastest so far. Grip certainly improving on circuit. I'm looking to see if the rain is still falling. It is still falling on circuit. I'm wondering, with that dry line at the moment, whether there may be a chance of maybe a dry tyre towards the end of this qualifying session here, if it continues. We'll have to see. Either way, 6.5 minutes to go left in this session, as Quantum does go fastest of anyone so far. We're following Dirk at the moment, going through the third sector. Hits his apex quite nicely, but the car's still looking a little bit shaky on throttle.
Indeed, yeah. I think we're finding this with a lot of drivers, actually, just trying to put that power down when you get up in that battery into overtake as well. And yeah, the back end just wanting to step out all the time. Coming through turn 19 now, misses the apex on the inside line and just making sure he doesn't run too far wide on the exit into the final corner. You want to cut that as much as you can without going wide. Again, missing the apex a little bit. It's been a okay-ish lap for Dirk. It's P3 at the moment, but there's still plenty of drivers behind him who are finding their feet with this better grip at this point in the session. None the least is his teammate SCI Silo, who goes into the 141s now, 141.9 there, nearly 4 turns clear of Quantum.
RSC will be thanking their lucky stars that Uppbeat has managed to reconnect back in the session. Of course, remember, WOR himself is currently serving a qualifying ban, so yes, opportunity still on the cards for SCI to potentially take the championship here, but if Epic Vale ends up disconnecting again, well, I'll tell you what, RSC are in real trouble here, and it could end up being decided here tonight, so just keep an eye out on that one at the moment. He's currently on an outlap as it stands so far, as we've just got even Eskrig going up to P3. Here comes Alex Lofberg, goes fastest of anyone so far, and an old set of intermediates as well. Both of the AMR drivers electing to stay out on these intermediate tyres that they started on, as Radadov goes fastest as well. So these lap times coming in thick and fast, and improvements all the way around the field.
It certainly is, and you know what, actually, Jota, there's just the odd spot now, but that rain has pretty much stopped now. So you did say about could somebody maybe go on to this, to a set of slicks come on the end of this session. I wouldn't put it out the question yet. I think there is a possibility that someone might take a chance, towards the bottom end of the grid. But it depends, like you said, if the track dries up enough quickly. I mean, Texas, you've got the heat out there, so you'd expect the track to in real life, but obviously here on the game, it's a different story altogether. As Seed goes into P6 there for IRT with a mid-42, but still 9/10 off Ryderdal's time at the moment. But yeah, I wouldn't put it out the equation for somebody going onto the softs, and there's the likes of Lorenzo, who's actually abandoned his lap. He's gone into the pit. Maybe he's thinking, let's not, I'm not going to risk putting this lap in now because I might not get back in time, and I want to get a set of soft tyres out, and this could essentially be a one-shot qualifying session.
Well, Quantum's elected to move on to a fresh set of intermediate tyres, so he doesn't believe the best tyre at the moment is the dry tyre. But either way, keep an eye on Epic Vale as he's now heading his way down this back straight here. We've been following him on the lap as he heads into turn 12. Looking relatively steady, but a couple of bites of the cherry at turn 12, but just able to stay within the track limits after cutting the corner very finely indeed. Because purple in the second sector shouldn't be any surprise here, but you can see just of areas of the different parts of the circuit here, it looks like that dry line is starting to really grow across the circuit, and I'm expecting that DRS enabled sign to be potentially on the cards here, as it looks like Phil is currently flitting between using an inter or a soft tyre here. Everyone currently in the pit lane here. Now if I were Epic Vale, I'd abandon this and just go straight into the pit lane, and that's exactly what he's going to do, because the soft tyre is certainly looking like the choice tyre here. It's going to be a mad dash to the end here for qualifying. Who knows who's going to be on pole?
Exactly, yeah, but can you remember, Jota, Monza? What year was it? I want to say 2021, maybe even 19 actually, come to think of it, where every driver waited until the last possible second to go out to do their final run. I mean, it was a different thing. It was all just because of the tow and the slipstream from the car in front, you know, and just breaking the draft. Maybe we're going to see a whole gaggle and group of cars at the end of the pit lane wanting to have the best conditions at the end of the race. We actually already have somebody coming out on pits already. That is Nicholas, but what tyre is he on? I believe that's a brand new set of inters. Indeed it is. So that might not be the case, apart from, you know, are they going to chance it and wait another, what, 10-15 seconds here? But there isn't a lot of time. But yeah, both VNT drivers are both out on brand new inters. Yeah,
they've got about 5 seconds to make a decision here, whether they're going to go on softs or whether they're going to go on intermediates here. Ventauri firmly in the intermediate camp. They don't think the track is going to grip. Crossed. My microphone is. Oh, whoa. My microphone is finally coming back online. Apologies, folks. I don't know what happened there, but either way, situation report at the moment is you've got a bunch of people now electing to decide whether they're going to start or use the intermediate tyre or whether they're going to use a dry tyre. As it stands, people are leaving it very late indeed. Ventauri are firmly in the intermediate camp here, but we have got someone being brave. Dirk is on a soft.
Yes, I did spot that actually. I was flicking through all the drivers. Wanted to see, is there going to be somebody who chances it? And yes, the answer is it is SCI Dirk. Is he just lets his teammate go ahead there? I think what he needs to do is let everybody get ahead of him. Just then he's got the best conditions. And you know, with this truck drying up, I mean, he's only got 2 drivers behind him, but you can tell how much he's struggling as the car goes into a big slide there. This is on his outlap through turn 8 and 9. And maybe it wasn't the right decision, but I guess we'll wait and see. The track is still changed in a minute's time. So never say never for Dirk, but just we'll keep an eye on him for sure, being the only driver on the soft tyres. But the VNT boys, as you can see, slowing down quite considerably. They want to leave this to the last possible second as they can, but obviously they are the 2 leading drivers to kick us off for what is, you know, a 1-lap shootout here to decide pole position. 15 drivers. Put your bets on who's it going to be. I can't call it, but I'm just interested to see what Dirk does. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers can adapt to now as well, with the very small amount of time remaining. I'm wondering if there's this little train of cars, and maybe some people are going to leave it a little bit too late, because I think there's definitely under a minute now before we have to get going. But the number 13, Ventauri of Nicholas, will go around that final corner, and he will get started with his lap here on the set of intermediate tyres. So that's the situation report. Max van der Geest will get started as well, as will Lorenz, as will Alex Loffer as well. We've got other lap times getting started here as well. It's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm wondering if Dirk is missing out, and he certainly has. He spun it at the final corner. So Dirk on the soft tyres, not going to work at all. He'll be very, very low down as a result of that one. So we're going to keep a very firm eye on these improving lap times, because one thing is for certain, Max van der Geest and Nicholas are leading the way on these intermediate tyres, but because they've got that extra few seconds available to them, is there going to be any challenges whatsoever in terms of the amount of grip that's available to them? As you can see, the sun is just starting to peak out, but the intermediate tyre is still the choice tyre as he heads his way down towards turn number 12 now, does Nicholas. An important lap, this one as well. 1:44.0 is well down the field as what we would expect from the team currently in the midfield at the moment. Chucking the car then through 12. Is he going to take it? Doesn't take as much curb as I've seen other people do so. He doesn't want to end up crossing that boundary too aggressively. Losing the rear ever so slightly through 13, but able to just manage the pace of the car as he chucks the car then
through this left-hander here, and then you've got the treble right-hander where so many people go side by side through here and it not work out at all. Go through the treble right-hander here. Rhea stepping out once again, just able to hold on as much as he can as he chucks the car through 19 and then into turn number 20. We'll see the first lap times then of this final run in qualifying. It's going to be an important set of laps here. Should go fastest, Nicholas, as he comes across the line. 140.8. His teammate comes across the line, Max von der Geest, and goes even faster. 140.6. Alex Loffer, 139.8. And Laurens goes up to P2. It's an AMR 1-2 as it stands, though, with Phil up to P6. Make that P7 with Ryderdahl coming across the line to go P3. Steve can't improve too much either, and I think it's all said and done here. Alex Loffer on pole, and I think his teammates in second place. AMR have got a front row lockout.
They certainly do, and a good reason for that is I was busy watching the final 5 cars all clustered together, where you had the 2 Aston Martins, you had Silo, you had Epic Vale, and apologies, I cannot remember the 5th driver now, but it was Epic Vale leading that little train that caused a massive cluster, and nobody could get ahead of him, and he was just causing a massive queue. And you can see that he's 2 seconds off the car in front of him, and in the best conditions as well, so not really ideal. That's why I saw some invalidations, but perfect for Alex Loff and Ivan Eskrig. Surprised with Ryderdahl, if I'm honest. I thought he would do better, but I do think he was held up by one of the kick Saubers. Not sure if it was Phil or Seeb. That's why he couldn't go quicker, because I certainly thought he had a good chance at pole position here. He's shown that through the early stages, but yeah, perfect result for AMR. Exactly what they needed. And can they take advantage tonight of RSC's poor qualifying, and obviously with the qualifying ban as well, that can they get back into second place?
Yeah, a few people in the chat at the moment are a little bit frustrated with Epic Vale in that one as well. But either way, that's the situation at the moment. Here are your lineup here tonight. We are going to be now needing to commit to a restart because, of course, Epic Vale has got to now serve his 5-place grid penalty as a result of the situation with RSC. But that gives us just a brief minute to just talk about what we've seen there. Short qualifying, a bunch of drivers all not able to take part in this one, but AMR are the ones that come out on top, and that doesn't surprise me.
Yep, doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And well, the thing is, at least with having both drivers at the front, they can work together and try and hold the rest of the field up and obviously work out on strategy. The only thing is, like I said, with it being them both being at the front, is one driver is going to have to lose out a little bit compared to the other, unless they do some form of a slightly larger undercut, as obviously we see the shenanigans happening at the start as we get the restart to come in. But yes, obviously Epic Vale's 5-place grid penalty actually puts him stone dead last. Although I'm not too sure how that works, considering that everyone else had a qualifying ban. Does he actually just stay where he is? Does it even apply? That's something that's in the rule books, I think, to have to check, if I'm honest. But after reading in the chat, apparently Epic Vale got damage out of the pit lane, which caused this this issue at the back of the field.
Interesting. We'll do a little bit more research into what's happening then out here, as well as we're just getting the lobby restarted. Situation there, said though, they've got a double qualifying ban for Tony and for Flam for GT10. Stand at the foot of the field, they're under a little bit of pressure, but situation report is RSC could be potentially losing out on the title here tonight if Dirk and Silo manage to romp home with a good 50-point win here over RSC. With Epic Vale getting a 5-place grid penalty and Enzo with a qualifying ban, could this all be wrapped up tonight? We'll find out in just a few short moments. Don't go away. Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome back to WOR and the Legacy Division. Sorry about all of the delays that we're experiencing at the moment. We're just trying to get people in the lobby set up and ready and raring to go. We certainly are ready and raring to go. It is myself, James Otter, alongside my personal Alan Lambourne himself, that is, Adam Roberts Bobberts himself. Thank you very much again for being alongside us for this one here, Adam. We should be in for a bit of a cracking event here, because one thing is for certain is the drivers are now going to have to get themselves ready for a ban hard race. We had a wet qualifying, and in the end it was decided with AMR on the front row, but now with no hards available, it's all going to be about that strategy.
Certainly is, and yeah, like I said earlier on, AMR at least being together can put up a strategy together, but one driver may have to compromise themselves to help the other, perhaps, if they're to try and stay together. So it's good and bad for them at the same time, but I'm sure they've got something in mind, depending on obviously how things go through the first few turns, let alone turn one itself, climbing up the hill. And we know, but in previous races, on cutting Kota before and in real life, turn one is very tricky at the best of times. But yeah, good qualifying for them. Not so good, obviously, for the for other teams in particular, obviously those none the least having double qualifying bans, or even a single one at that, and RSC not having a good qualifying, and well, Epic Vale can count his lucky stars that even with his 5-place grid penalty, he doesn't lose any positions.
No, so we didn't really need to even restart this lobby in the first place. So I think everyone will be happy that we did, to be fair, because I think a few people were experiencing a few technical hitches in that last one. But we're in this new one now with everyone ready and raring to go. Early indications suggest AMR are on fire here tonight, which is showing the reason why they are the #1 Spanish team in WR Legacy at the moment as well. Behind, though, are ETA, who are trying their hardest to reclaim that spot that they once had. A couple of runners-up spots the last couple of seasons. As it stands, will be on for their lowest place finish in 4 seasons in WR Legacy, so they're going to want to try and capitalise where they can on a few mess-ups, such as the one for SCI Dirk, who decided to switch over to a soft tyre at the very last minute, and it didn't work out for him, did it?
Nope, certainly didn't. And don't get me wrong, it was somebody. It was a case of, would somebody take that chance and take that risk, and he was the one who did that. And yeah, early indications on his outlaps certainly showed that it wasn't the right call. And I mean, there was still a minute or so for the track to maybe drive just that tiny little bit more for him, but didn't even have a chance to set a qualifying lap. He couldn't get going quick enough, and everyone just clustered at the end. And obviously we saw a lot of drivers all at the same point and part of the track, and obviously those who went out earlier were at least able to get a clean lap time in and not have to worry about, mix it in with other drivers around them. And like I said, AMR were the best out of that, so they've got a good chance here tonight of some big points. Like I said, they need to get themselves into P2 in the standings. Like I said, other teams do have work to do. ETA, none the least, themselves have work to do, but at least they have, I think, Ryderdale starts up in P3, who did look pretty good in qualifying. Was a little unfortunate maybe not to get pole position. His teammate Lorenz actually in P5, actually, so I take that back. It's a decent qualifying for ET8. But what do you do with the 2 drivers around the same area? Do you mix the strategies? You go on the same strategy? This is what practice comes down to. What do you do in this situation?
Yeah, what do you do in this situation? Indeed, the drivers are getting themselves ready and raring to go. Quick reminder of our calendar, of course, as well. After this race, we do have our sort of roulette race, our mystery Grand Prix on April 21 next week. That could be the one where we crown the champions again in SCI as it stands. We've got, of course, wrap it up at Sao Paulo for our final sprint race on April 28th. So, situation as it stands, we're still waiting on the green light here for all of the drivers who want to get on with this one here. As I think the situation for the AMR is, of course, is that they've got a big points haul potentially on the cards here if they can help it. Standings are suggesting they could be within touching distance. They're in P3 overall, and only the what's that? That's 40. Sorry, pardon me. That's 21 points behind us. 24 points. I'll get there in the end. Behind RSC, who of course have had a pretty poor situation in terms of qualifying this time out. One with a qualifying ban, one with a 5-place grid penalty. So, for AMR, this is a great opportunity to potentially get into that runners-up spot and claim what has been a Spanish seat, really, hasn't it, for the last 3 seasons?
It certainly has, and you got to look at it as well. You know, they've not won this season, unlike a lot of other teams around them, but they've been consistent. You know, 3 second places, a third place, but a lot of fourth, fifth, and sixth place finishes, and only on one occasion has one driver not scored a point. And I think I've said this a few weeks ago that's what you need is both drivers in the points as we get out onto track, and that is why they are the best Spanish outfit with 5 red lights on here tonight.
Yeah, and they're going to be going, no more waiting. Let's go racing here at the Circuit of the Americas. Of course, no hard tyres available for these drivers here, so we're going back to prime and options as Alex Loffer and Ivan Eskri trying to defend here. There's a bit of ghosting happening here, and I'm wondering if Ryderdahl is actually going to overtake as a result. Now, there will be some questions about whether that overtake was legal, and it looks like he's giving that position right back up and colliding with Max van der Geester straight across the screen. You can see the debris on there as well. I'm wondering if he's got some kind of damage, either one of the cars. I think it might be definitely the Red Bull certainly got some kind of damage, but either way, Max van der Geest up to P3 and the ET8 man relegated to 4th, and Laurens up into P5 with Nicholas in P6, Phil is in 7th, and then you've got FRT's Quantum in 8th, Dirk is in 9th, and Justin rounding out the top 10.
Don't know if you can notice, Silo was at the back of the field. He was one of the drivers that got caught up in the early incident. And yeah, he is stone dead last in P20. He gets a move done ahead of Bino there for P19. Well, not a great start there from SCI Silo, but we know he's really good around here. So he gets the moves on as Quantum and Phil go side by side into the new enough hairpin corner. Phil trying to get a move done on the Racing Bull, but in the end had to back out of it. They stay in formation as they were. Uncle getting some moves done towards the back of the field. We've still got people sending it. That's a Mercedes there, and that's you sending it down the inside of Robin there, catching the Aston Martin off guard. We're still side by side coming through the fake turkey turn 8, as we'll call it, into the front of the corner. Robin is going to be on the outside here. The Mercedes is going to take that corner, and indeed he does, and that is, and here comes the second one of Epic Vale now. This is Mercedes versus Aston Martin, and it's Mercedes who come out on top. Epic Vale gets the move done. Both of them up 2 places each, and Harm now gets ahead of his teammate as well.
Puoff managing to get up to P11. You got Epic Vale in 12th, but he's still getting attacked from Harm. The fastest stay true man nudges him going through turn 1, but the traction is available for Epic Vale. Harm losing it ever so slightly. That position is surely done and dusted. He's still trying to attack though, and I tell you what, fair play to Harm. It was definitely some intense battle, but a switchback from Epic Vale at turn 6 is a very, very intense indeed, but I think he's spun out Harm as a result. He might be sent to the stewards, and RSC are already potentially in a bit of trouble.
Indeed he has, and a tough one to call there. I think he was obviously trying to get the turn in, and I think there was just about enough space maybe left, but I guess it's just when each driver turns in, so we might get taken. We'll have to wait and see. Seba's actually gone for a very early pit stop. I think he maybe was the one that picked up wing damage, not too sure, but either way, he's now on a brand new set of soft tyres, 18 seconds behind the pack in front. But yeah, Harm now down to P18 as a result. Silo's managed to recover up to P15 now. He's got ahead of GT10 Flamu, and he's got Uncle now ahead of him. But the top 9, at least, as we'll say, all pretty much going casually as Phil in the wars again now with another driver, and Epic Vale gets ahead of his teammate as they try and pass this Kick Sauber that seems to be struggling. Yeah,
Epic Vale manages to get by. Uop now wanting to get this one done at 220 if he can help it. He'll have to go down there around the outside. Switchback maybe going in towards turn number 1. Phil not getting the better exit, but you can see now overtake being used by Uop to try and get himself up to P11. It'll have to be a late breaker going into 1, and that's exactly what he's looking for. Both cars locking up into the corner, but that move is now done and dusted. So Uop actually still fighting with the likes of Phil. He's had a great exit, Phil, to be fair, and he's still defending it. And this is the last thing RSC need. They need both of their drivers working together, and with Phil splitting the pair of them and still doing a decent job defending for Uop, as it stands so far, RSC's plan to work together is starting to fall apart.
It certainly is. I'm not too sure what's going on with Phil though, because he's got his entire front wing, so I'm not too sure why he's lost 3 places in a lap and a half. And
whoa, that's late!
Big style, as here comes Yopo as well down the inside, sending it very late, but the door was firmly shut. And now this invites GT10 Uncle into the party as he got a move done on Robin into turn 1 earlier in the lap. DRS activated. Phil does not have the DRS. Yopo gets down the inside. Is Uncle going to try and get a switch back here on the pair of them? He's certainly trying to look for it, but the inside was blocked there by Phil, so he's maintained, stays as you were. Phil once again trying to lunge it down the inside, and he's just it's just, well, car is now just completely uncontrollable. I wonder if he has a wheel issue of some form, because that car is not acting normally.
Yeah, he's gone. I think there is a potentially a force feedback issue or something with Phil at the moment. There's definitely some kind of hardware challenge that he's facing at the moment. You can see the car is just snapping all over. I'm wondering if maybe there's some kind of resistance or pedal issue maybe with the IRT man, but I have a sneaking suspicion as he goes again. Look, does the man in the lean green machine. One suspects that he's probably going to be boxing and retiring from this race at the moment, because this hardware failure is clearly too much of a challenge for the Kick Sauber man. Dives into the pit lane and retires immediately. There is the expectation there for the green machine, which means Sieb will go up to P19 and in now the new last place. Opportunity to talk about strategy though, if you don't mind for a second. Of course, there is no hard tyre. It's a circuit where we've got pretty high degradation here now, Adam. And now my thought to you on this one here is, how do we almost manage the situation here for these drivers? Because it's obviously not going to be the one stop. One thing is for certain, AMR are in real positive stead here as Radadal gets past Max von der Gies with that medium tyre start, and absolutely blinder of a start while everyone else behind has been fighting.
Indeed, yeah. Well, Max von der Gies was in amongst that, but his soft tyres have just gone off the cliff in this last lap or so, which is a bit early actually, from brutally honest. I think these softs can maybe go, lap 4 or 5 before they really start to drop off. But Kota is a high degradation circuit, as we know. Tyre temps is also a big factor. So, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these soft tyre runners pit as early as the end of this lap. And indeed, there we go. Radadal into the bigs, Max von der Gies into the bigs. Lorenz has to stay because his teammates in say with Nicholas, but this gives the chance for other drivers to get off these softs, get onto that fresh set of mediums, and take them for at least a good 11-12 laps maybe to split this strategy. But yeah, AMR P1 and P2 starting on the mediums, and they pulled that gap. They've got it under control, but obviously they've got to go through the pain later on. But yeah, getting that 2-second gap is very crucial, even in these early stages.
Well, you've been a racer at one point in your time, Mr. Bobberts yourself. What's the advisable strategy here with no hard available? It's surely going to be medium, soft, medium, maybe even medium, soft, 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 right?
It's a 2-stop. It's going to be 1 soft, 2 mediums in whatever, I guess where you go about it, what you start on and what you end up on. Obviously, a lot of the drivers starting on the softs will be going to the mediums and then obviously to another set. The likes of obviously AMR in particular, starting on the mediums, you could split it. They'll want to stay on the same set of tyres between their 2 drivers. So if they go on to softs next and then mediums, or mediums again, then softs for the end, they've got to stick together and be on the same compound of tyre, because that is what is working for them. But it's a case of when do they pit. Obviously, yes, they've got the clean air now, and they can stretch that lead as best as they can. But obviously, when it comes to them making that first pit stop, around about probably lap 10, 11, 12, what do they go on? And they're going to probably find themselves in amongst the pack that was, a good 2 seconds or so behind them. And then we'll have to get some overtaking done, but that won't be any easy feat for them. So they've just got to make sure they keep their pedal, keep the pedal to the metal, and keep these laps, lap times coming in very consistently, and maybe swap positions so one saves ERS and having the DRS and vice versa. So, but they'll have a strategy in mind. You'll see how they go as the remaining soft tyre runners all come into the pits, apart from Yopwop, who stays out for yet another lap. On these soft tyres, is a 1-stop doable? It's not out of the equation. I will admit, Jota, actually, in WOR itself, and Mr. Otsazito tried to do a 1-stop, and it was working. He got the tyres to last. Unfortunately, a safety car came out and put an end to that as Sieb retires. That is both IRT drivers out of this race before, the end of lap 5, and that's nil point for them tonight.
Yeah, pretty critical in that little battle at the foot of the table between IRT, between the IRT, BRC, and FST. So opportunity on the cards here for FST and for BRC if they can help it. As it stands, they've got at least a couple of points through Polymassy We are seeing it's going to be at least the 4 points for Robin down in P13, but he has a time penalty to his name. Situation report as Max van der Geest is getting the move done once again on Rydal, switching positions up to P4 now for the Williams Mercedes. Situation report is, well, AMR are really just starting to find their mojo. 10-second gap between them and Uppbeat, of course, not sort of something to be considered as extraordinary because Uppbeat was significantly down in comparison to other people. But if the answer here is we might end up falling into the midst of the midfield on our pit stop because we're extending our stint on these mediums, surely the answer is move to a soft, get past people as quickly as you can, and then try and stretch out enough of a gap that when you get onto the set of medium tyres to the end of this race, everyone is still in the midst of their pit stops.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with you on that one, that, yeah, certainly going to the SOS next is probably going to be the way to go, especially as well if there's some form of a safety car. At least it kind of negates that aspect, and then they're having, you know, if it's at the midpoint and then they have to run the SOS, that really just, yeah, the strategy's just completely out the window then, and they're actually just shot themselves in the foot. But again, that's just by potluck and by chance. So yeah, softs I would say would be the best how to go on next, and then go to the mediums again at the end and just have that offset compared to the rest of the field. I do believe with Uppbeat staying out, I think he might be trying this one-stop strategy, which, like I said, is doable. It's just he's going to be considerably slower to those in front and behind him. But we'll keep an eye on that as to how he goes, as we only are on lap 7 out of 28, only a quarter of the way through this race. But we do have a DRS train down from 4th to 12th here. Max van der Geest leading that train just in towards the back. You can see drivers there trying to get out of the tow from the car in front. You know, engine temperatures are also another factor around here. You know, as we know, follow the car too closely, or for a considerable amount of time, and they're not going to get the power that they need to even try and make a move. So yeah, if you see that happening, don't be surprised in the slightest. The only thing that did happen from that Jota in amongst those pit stops is Lorenz and Nicholas lost out through their pit stops by having to go one lap later, and now respectively in 8th and 9th. Obviously will be 6th, will be at least 7th and 8th once Uppbeat pits. In fact, he does pit, so there goes that one-stop strategy idea. That's just completely gone out the window, so it kind of makes me think, why did he even continue doing that? So, but either way, let's see what he does. But yeah, when do AMR pit? That's the question. 19.5 seconds is the gap to Max van der Geest in 3rd, 4-lap tyre offset. See the gap come down, but yeah, I can see them coming out in the middle of this pack, which will not be ideal.
Just, sorry, I've just lost my trail of thought completely because I've just kept an eye out on the Champions League scores at the moment. Atletico Madrid 1, Barcelona 2. It's absolutely flying at that match at the moment. Either way, lap 8 of 28 in this race. Alex Loffer still leading the way from Ivan Eskrig in this one. And you know what? They're in a real prime position here, AMR, and this is a very unusual position for them, hasn't it? Because throughout this season, they've managed to eclipse a 2 and 3, position, 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. That they haven't won a race this season, have AMR, and as it stands so far, they're going to be on their way to potentially getting a 1-2, especially if Rydal Max van der Geest keep battling it out here. Gap is 19 seconds. They haven't got a pit stop just yet, have Alex Loffer and Ivan Eskrig, but if Max van der Geest and Rydal don't work with each other and keep battling with each other, they might find themselves actually a whole pit stop behind with Alex Loffer and Ivan Eskrig.
Yeah, that could quite easily be the case. Just trying to see what lap times the Ferrari duo are doing. So it's a mid-36 there for the pair of them. And Alex Loffer's actually led the entire way, which kind of says to me that he's the quicker of the two drivers. So perhaps they're in the best position with him to stay out in front and drag his teammate along for the ride. Max van der Geest, actually on that lap, was a second quicker than the two Ferraris in front of him. So they are closing in, and Max van der Geest doing a decent job there to reduce that gap. So yeah, kind of proves the point that yeah, they will take the lead of this race, this train. But yes, exactly where the two Ferraris come out as Uncle gets the move done. He's still side by side actually with Justin. Thought he got the move done. He's trying to shove that racing bull off the circuit. We're side by side, and Justin is not giving him an inch. We're off circuit here, not for one of them, but for both drivers. This is getting very aggressive. Uncle gets the move done, but both parties there get a bit too aggressive with each other, not wanting to yield. I mean, I don't blame you for wanting to yield, but you're not doing yourself any justice by doing that. Yeah, I thought there was going to be the dive, but they're not in DRS. Justin gets a switchback. He will have the DRS. Uncle will not. He's not going to defend this, and they've shot themselves in the foot as Bino retires. Down to 17 runners and riders now, and only one BRC driver, that now being Polly Massey. Ryderdal got the move done on Max van der Geest in the meantime. That was certainly a lot easier compared to that.
Oh, just keeping an eye on the battle with Silo and Uncle in this one as well. Looking strong at the moment here. Silo just wanted to get this one done and bounce back after that incident in lap 1. Getting to perilously close to the back end of FRT Justin, but no love lost whatsoever between FRT and GT10, of course, after that bad incident at Bahrain caused by GT10 Uncle, and Justin showing exactly what they think of Uncle's performance last time out and managing to sneak into the top 10 with his teammate currently, where's his teammate currently in P5 at the moment as well. Could be a big points haul on the cards for FRT, especially in that midfield at the moment. They need every point they can get. Ryderdal and Max van der Geest switching, by the way, once again going through turn 12. They are gaining on the back of the AMR drivers, but probably not as fast as they possibly could be.
Yeah, like I said, I think that lap was only about 7/10, so the gap was reduced by rather than the second, the previous. But again, I think some of that is down to the overtaking between the pair of them on that lap, and they may just be swapping as to who's got the higher amount of battery. Well, I say that Max van der Geest has got a lot more battery in comparison to Ryderdal. Quantum, Dirk, Lorenz, Nicholas, Epic Vale not really interested in making any moves at this point. It is a little bit of the lull point. I guess they're just wanting to drag each other along and just not cause any issues at this point in the race, besides the likes of obviously behind them Justin, Silo and Uncle, who battle it out for the positions 10 through 12, as Justin actually managed to get back within the DRS of Epic Vale. He's out of it again, but he did get it at least down that straight, but it's just trying to save that bit of battery after having to burn it to get that move done on Uncle, who lost 2 places in the space of a few corners, and like you said, no love lost between GT10 and FRT after last week, but that, you know, really, it should be in the past. You should, you know, I say forget and move on, but that's easier said than done, and I'm saying that myself as a former racing driver.
Lap 11 of 28. We're starting the 12th of 28 in just a short second time. Boom. So we will now get on with this one with lap 11 of 28. We keep an eye out on Max van der Geest, who is still putting Ryderdal under all sorts of pressure at the moment, as well as we are saying this. They're just now heading the way through turn 2. Where are Ivan Eskriding and Alex Loffer? Well, can you believe they're at turn 10 at the moment, so that just goes to show how far ahead they are, albeit they have to, of course, make their first pit stop of the day. As it stands, they've only lost around 2 seconds in, what's that, I reckon about 3 or 4 laps, so it doesn't surprise me that the Ferrari pairing are just sort of biding their time a little bit here, because they could move over to a soft tyre and have all of that substantial grip and easily make the overtakes if they want to, but that is entirely on their call in terms of their strategies out here tonight. Lap 11 of 28, Alex Loffer still leading from Ivan Eskrig, as we now see another switch for P3 once again. Max van der Geest getting in front of Ryderdal.
Indeed we do, and I think, yeah, obviously Ryderdal's not defending that. He knows the score and what he needs to do. I'll tell you one thing that I did sort of discount earlier on was Yopawop's tyre strategy as to why he went longer on those softs. I might now start to take that back. He's now actually pretty much within the DRS as Alex Loffer goes into the pits at the end of lap 11, so the first AMR driver is in. Obviously, so that leaves Ivan Eskrig to stay out. He obviously has the DRS down the pit straight to extend that and to keep himself moving. It is the soft compounded tyres, so how I predicted and thought it would be. It is the soft tyre for the first of the 2 AMR drivers. And where does he come out in this gaggle and this train of cars is the question. He exits the pits now. He's behind 3. Is he behind the Alpine there at Dirk, or is he going to be ahead of him? He is ahead of him, so it's not as bad as I initially thought. It's only 3 drivers.
Yeah, only 3 positions he's lost, and with a fresh set of soft tyres while everyone's on aging medium tyres, opportunity for Alex Loffer to just make some very easy overtakes and perhaps unorthodox moves as well in that Ferrari. Look how much time he's gaining already at the back of Quantum. I would expect that this is going to be done before we get anywhere near turn 11 here. He uses overtake, and look at this one, he's actually getting it done just after turn 10. He's now up to P4. He'll have DRS for Ryderdal as well, as he now heads his way through turn 11 down the back straight to turn 12, as Robin gets another 3-second time penalty. He's now up to 6 and the only people with a time penalty at the moment are fastest stay true. Alex Loffer will be hoping that he can get this one done as quickly as he possibly can, because those soft tyres do burn out relatively quickly. He can at least get them past them before he's putting about 2 or 3 laps of wear on them. And look at that big dive down the inside, but he's got all the grip in the world as Alex Loffer to get these overtakes done. If he gets past Max von der Gies, it hasn't even taken him a lap to get past 3 people. As they go around the treble right-hander, he'll be wanting to get this one done. Ivan Eskrig now into the pit lane for a fresh set of soft tyres. He was a bit behind Alex Loffer, about 6/10. That could prove dear for around a couple of extra cars. We'll see as they head now into turn number 20, and he wasn't able to get it all done in one, but it'll be about 1 1/4 laps, to be honest with you, for Alex Loffer. As he gets that one done, he's up to P2. He overtakes Ivan Eskrig, whereas Eskrig leaving at the moment. He's behind Dirk, he's behind Laurens, is he behind Nicholas as well? He is. So he's down to P8 as a result of that one. 6/10 was the difference here, Adam, and in the end, Ivan Eskrig has got more people to overtake.
Not really surprised if we're brutally honest, but he's watched his teammate get back into the lead of this race, and he's taken in, like you said, just near enough, just over a lap there to do so. So even Eskrig, yes, he's got a few extra drivers to overtake. The answer is an extra 3 drivers to overtake to get back to where he was. But nonetheless, it should be fairly easy, and with a full battery at his disposal, the first car to overtake is Nicholas there. Gets them moved on. It's like a flying formation, like his teammate on the previous lap. It's just watching symmetry, doing the same thing into turn 11. That's moved done and dusted. 1 driver down, 5 more to go. Lorenz is the next target. Is he really close enough to get him moved on? I tell you what, with the battery burnage that he's doing, he could get him later on the brakes here, but would you risk that? The answer is no, he does not. He stays behind, but look at the grip difference between 7-lap all mediums and brand new soft tyres. It's going to be round the outside for the Ferrari on that Red Bull, and easy pickings there through 12, through 13 and 14. He's got that move done. But look at the gap that his teammate has already pulled. He's 2.6 seconds clear of Max von der Gies. And yeah, even Eskrig now about 4 seconds or so behind his teammate, and that's the difference between 1 lap and 3 extra drivers having to overtake. He's got more work to do, but AMR are still in a very, very good position.
Yeah, situation then. Alex Loffer with the fastest lap of this race, already pulling a 3-second gap to Max von der Gies. Now they'll be hoping that they'll be pitting around about the same lap here for the medium tyres once again. Be interested to see if anyone elects to go on to another set of soft, but they're going to have to take it at least another 10 laps probably be about more closer to 8 laps to really get the best out of the soft tyres to do so. Even Eskrig up to P5, chasing down Quantum, gap around half of a second. He's not making any massive inroads through the slow mediums, but through the medium fast corners, certainly you can see this is where the soft tyres work an absolute treat. Up at the top of the hill of turn number 10, as he now takes 10 right here. Is he going to go for the dive going into 11? We have seen a couple of people do this one, but he's doing exactly that one. And in fairness, Quantum doesn't look like he's fighting too hard against that one for even Eskrig, who's now up to 4th.
Yeah, he knows. Quantum's been around long enough. He knows there's absolutely no point in defending on his 9-lap old mediums to even Eskrig's 1-lap old softs. It's just like it's just a losing battle. So yeah, he's very well experienced as Quantum, so he knows that to minimise his time loss, just let him go and just use that DRS to try and pull himself forward. And I'll tell you what it has done is it's making Dirk flirt with that 1 second. Window for DRS tonight, and Dirk might actually fall out of it, but we'll wait and see, because it keeps popping just under and just over that 1 second window. Even Eskrig got ahead of Ryderdal. Now just meeting with 1 car, that is Max von der Gies, as he comes through the penultimate corner. Will probably aim to get past him if he can up into turn 1, but look at that gap. He's now 5.2 seconds to his teammate, just showing the amount of time that he has lost, just not only having to overtake people, but also the 1 extra lap he had to do in those older medium tyres. But he's now up into P2. It's back as you were. The only difference is you just add on 4 and a bit seconds between the 2 AMR drivers, but they are back now leading 1-2 in this race. I said race, and I'm not really. I'll try and get my words up properly if I can, as Yopwop and Silo going side by side down the hill. Silo not giving an inch to that Mercedes. Whoa! And that's the Yopwop into the wall. It is Yopwop into the wall. Trying to get a move done there. It was very tight, I think, between the pair of them, and unfortunately Yopwop's half a wing is now missing. That is his race unfortunately done with, and on his much fresher tyres compared to the rest of the medium runners, was gaining time and places, but all comes to an end. And thoughts on that one, Jota?
Uncharacteristic potentially from Silo. It was uncharacteristically aggressive from the fastest man on console, but he's up to P11, and especially considering he's battling with the likes of BRC for the title, and the fact that he's just put one of them now out of contention is helping SCI's case. So hopefully when we do all the points, SCI haven't won enough to take the victory here tonight under those circumstances, because I think they know they would rather go out on a bang.
Yeah, I think I probably have to agree with you there. I think it was just a bit too aggressive on Silo's case. I mean, yeah, they were side by side. I understand he wants to hold the position and not give it up to you know, their main rivals at the moment. The P2 in the standings have just had insult to injury. Silo picks up a 3-second time penalty as Dirk goes into the pits a bit early, actually. Well, I'll say that it's just end of lap 15, lap 16, so 13 laps on the second set of mediums, but again, they're going for an undercut here. But yeah, Silo now picking up a time penalty just to add, like I said, insult to injury. Yup, I think, he's going to call it a day after that 10-second penalty for cutting the pit lane, unless that was
glitch. I think
meant to happen.
Yeah,
I think that was a glitch.
I think that was a glitch.
Yeah.
He didn't mean to, and unfortunately, he's gone in, and now he has to serve a 10-second penalty. So because he served it, he's not going to get the 10 seconds out, and actually he's retired as a result of that one as well. If he wasn't forced to do the 10-second penalty, I think he would have carried on. But now he's served the penalty. You can't remove a penalty that is served. So he will now be down and out of the running, which means Epic Vale is got to go out on his own. Now, what's helping RSC at the moment is the fact that SCI aren't really having a good race either. Dirk is in 10th, Silo is in 8th and has a time penalty to his name, as we've got someone struggling. It looks like Flamau has gone for potentially a little bit of a tank slapper. He's lost a couple of positions now. He's battling with Epic Vale as he heads his way down towards turn number 12. DRS available for both of the drivers, but overtake being used all the way until the battery completely is depleted for Epic Vale, as he's now promoted up to P12. He'll now try to get every point he can to at least keep RSC's chances of winning the title alive. But with one driver now back and out, they're literally driving with one arm behind their back.
Indeed they are. There's a good move there, to be fair, by Epic Vale round the outside of Harm there. Yes, it's 11 lap tyre difference, but around the outside of 15 you don't see too many moves there, but a great move there by Epic Vale as the second pit stops are now continuing with the rest of this group. So Silo is in, Ryderdal, Max van der Gies, who have been swapping between 3rd and 4th in the entirety of this race. But where does Dirk come out in all of this? He's got the 1-lap undercut, and I tell you what, Dirk has undercut all of them, and he is now net P3. So what might have been a bad situation for SCA in terms of the hands of Silo, Dirk at least with that undercut has put them in a position where they can at least salvage something. There's still 11 and a bit laps to go, but a good undercut there by Dirk, a great outlap, has put him in a good position.
Yeah, situation report now is Dirk is in a really good position with that undercut working a treat. Remember, he's now going to the end of this race, no issue whatsoever. 11 laps are where we've seen people take these medium tyres. Dirk will be taking it 12, so it doesn't feel like that's going to be any major concern on that front either. But people behind, of course, will just keep him under that pressure. Max van der Gies, Ryderdal, Nicholas Quantum, even Epic Vale to a certain extent as well. He needs to get as many points as he can for RSC, considering they're now racing with one arm tied behind their back with the Upper Ops retirement in the pit lane. So, lap 17 of 28, as we see Ivan Eskrik and Alex Loffer go across the start-finishing line to start their 6th and 5th lap, respectively, on these soft tyres. Expectations that they should be in imminently to get off of these soft tyres onto another set of mediums. Laurens and Justin doing exactly the same thing, as Dirk is now travelling around as much as he can at the speed of light to try and get as close as he can to the front two when they make their pit stops. We'll see the gap as he comes across now the start-finishing line, and Dirk will be, I reckon, somewhere in the region of around about 21 seconds, and that's exactly what I'm seeing here, 21.007 as he heads his way through turn 1. As it stands, actually AMR have got a pit stop against Dirk as it stands through Alex Loffer, but it's going to be pretty tight margins for Ivan Eskrig.
I think if I was AMR, I would pit Ivan Eskrig first. Alex has got that buffer that he to the field in behind for P3 downwards. I would pit Ivan now and make sure that he doesn't lose too many positions, or even potentially might just stay ahead. But we'll see what they do. But that's just my that's what I would do if I was the strategist. Is yeah, pick the second driver in this case, because Alex has got that 4-second buffer to his teammate, and he's still 24.5 seconds ahead of Dirk. So yeah, he could go another lap. I don't see any issue with that. So yeah, pit Ivan now, and then they can be back together again at least. For that sake. Does Alex stay out? Yes, he does. Did they take my advice? Did they pick Ivan? Yes, they do. Just call me the strategist.
They were listening. They were listening to you there, Adam Roberts. Adam Boberts himself showing his absolute expertise, bringing in Ivan Eskrig to change over to a set of medium tyres to the end of this race. Now, expectations is that they should get out behind Dirk, maybe Max von der Gies and Rydal, but Alex Loffer has got a little bit of an undercut. So if Ivan Eskrig can get out in front of Dirk, this could be fairly critical here. There he is leaving the pit lane, and I tell you what, he has got it. He's on a fresh set of medium tyres. They're 3 laps younger than Dirk's, and he's now able to just speed away. This is AMR's to lose.
It certainly is AMR's to lose. You're damn right, Jota. And I was expecting him to be, overtaken maybe by maybe just 1 or 2 of them in this train, but that's not the case, and that just shows that their pace on those soft tyres was immense, and they kept that consistency going. And again, it just shows there's now no pressure for Alex Loffer, because he's seen his teammate comfortably stay ahead of Dirk, and that gap is now up to 2 seconds already. He's pulled over half a second in just 1 sector and a bit alone. So yeah, this is AMR's to lose. They've done everything they needed to do this race. Just now get the second and final pit stop for Alex, and then they can bring home, for their sake, hopefully, an immense and very precious 1-2 finish for the Spanish outfit. It's now a case of maybe this final podium paint position, where you've got Dirk in P3, stretching this train all the way down to Lorenz in P12. And really, any of these drivers could get that, as that is, I think, Silo trying to get him moved on. Sorry, that's Uncle getting him moved on Silo there. And even on his 1 lap older tyres, he gets that moved on. Not too sure what's happened with Silo. He's lost 2 places, I think, on this lap. Might be wrong in saying that, but we'll see anyway. So where does Alex Loffer come out in regards to his teammate? They're going to be a lot closer than what they were before. In fact, does Ivan Eskrig take the lead in this race from his teammate? The answer is the side-by-side through turn 1 and turn 2. But Alex Loffer just holds on in front of his teammate. That is perfection, but that just shows the difference in 1 lap medium tyres on the undercut. Ivan gained nearly 4 seconds.
And this is perfect, because now Alex Loffer can carry Ivan Eskrig with the DRS and do exactly what they did in the first stint on a set of medium tyres. So AMR absolutely flying high, to say the least. So as it stands here, it looks like we might be on for their first victory of the season, AMR, which is just absolutely bonkers to say, considering we're on the, not the penultimate, but the pre-penultimate race of the season. But they're going to be on for a 1-2 as it stands, on by a considerable margin indeed. Dirk 3 seconds back from Ivan Eskrig. Max von der Gies continuing to put the SCI man under pressure here. And I tell you what, if you are an RSC fan at the moment, you must be feeling like if you are a Barrow fan at the moment in the League 2 match, because as it stands so far, with 1 arm tying behind their back, they are now on the back foot, and with Epic Vale only in P8 here, and with Dirk in the big points, yes, they might get the jump on Silo, but he needs to be a little bit closer to Dirk here if he wants to try and take this to the next round of the championship. As it stands so far, it will go to the next round of the championship, but SCI will have a significant margin.
I just realised the reference you were giving and thinking, oh no, have they conceded? The answer
Sorry,
is yes,
mate.
they haven't. So
sorry, mate.
Don't be sorry in the slightest. But I expected it. I'm just surprised it's taken that long. I'll tell you what has happened, though, is Nicholas in P6 has lost the DRS to Dirk, Max von der Gies and Rydal. So that just shows, as Robin, for fastest stay true, another time penalty. Both of their drivers have just been suffering with penalties. Harm has 6 seconds, Robin has 12, and the only other driver is Silo with 3 seconds. So yeah, not a good day for fastest stay true. Well, I think they're not even going to get any points whatsoever, I think, actually, with Flamu just in behind them. Excuse me, but yeah, Nicholas losing the DRS. He's actually fringing on maybe just about getting it back again. But I think he was 1 or 2 1,000ths of a second on my screen at least, short of the detection point for getting the DRS. I'm just going to go on board with him and see if he gets it. The answer is no. So he has lost the DRS to the 3 in front. And yeah, this just shows Dirk's pace is just that much better, a bit quicker than the second VNT driver. What does Max van der Geest do? Setting it down the inside, no, backs out of it in the end. Any moves in the background, Quantum having a sneaky look down the inside of Nicholas, but wasn't quite close enough. So it's as you were. The only thing that has changed is that here we go again with GT10 and FRT. It's Justin and Uncle like it was about 10 laps ago, and we're side by side in this final sector into the double left-hander. Justin on his 2-lap fresh and medium sends it down the inside through 15.
Whoa, tyre hooked! Oh, tyre hooking between the pair of them. Justin ends up getting tyre hooked, and once again, FRT and GT10 are coming a line astern and getting into some kind of collisions. I don't know what it is between the pair of the teams at the moment, but there's definitely an air of some, I don't know, sensitivity between the pair of them. Definitely very personal at the moment between the RB Racing Bulls and the Haas Ferraris out there at the moment. Uncle down to P13. He's had 2 shocking races so far here for GT10, and as it stands so far, he's still going to be scoring only a very scraps of points, and when he's racing with Justin like that one especially, it's not going to be helpful. Interested to take your side on this one, but it looked like tyre hooking.
Yeah, still looked like tyre hooking, and well, I think Justin had the move done there, and I wasn't bored from Uncle's perspective. I don't think either of them really were turning. They were just an unfortunate aspect, but certainly one driver, both drivers may think differently to that, but each to their own. I suppose they all have their own opinions, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation and scenarios. Quantum now gets the move done on Nicholas this time around. Nicholas's pace, unfortunately, is now dropping off. Is the VNT man, and it has split up this train. So yeah, the 3 ahead and now battling for P3 in the run. But what can Quantum do now that he's got the move done? He's got to gain 7/10 to ride it out if he wants to get that DRS once again. Epic Veil now sending it down the inside of trying to catch Nicholas off guard there through 15. Didn't quite get the move done. Obviously RSC need to get some bigger points if they can. They're losing second place as it currently stands, and by some margin as well, with AMR 1-2 at the moment, and they're 7 seconds clear of Dirk in P3 with just under 6 laps to go here, and it's looking good for the Spanish outfit. But what can Epic Veil do? Can he rescue some more points? Uncle goes into the pits. Did he pick up some damage from that instant? The answer is yes. There is a front wing coming out, I believe, on that Haas. Yes, there is. So there was damage to that Haas, whether it's from that incident or another one, I'm not too sure. But that is Uncle's race, unfortunately, finished for him.
Yeah, GT10 down at the foot of the field, racing with fastest stay true at the moment, as Uncle will now go all the way to the final position available in P16, the only position that scores nil points in comparison to all of the other 15 runners out here at the moment. Lap 23 of 28. We're back towards the front here. AMR have absolutely... They've been perfect. I don't think there's anything that I can say that's actually of any kind of negative value. I think, yeah, maybe there was a little bit of unfortunate nature of Ivan Eskrig having to commit to more racing on those soft tyres, but they've played the absolute strategy to absolute perfection. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch from the Spanish outfit here, who are going to be scoring, as I said, their first race victory this season, but also a 1-2 finish. What a race it has been from AMR.
It's been absolutely fantastic, and they got the job done when they needed to at the start, being on the harder compound tyre compared to the rest of the field, defending that first and second place, and that's what they needed to do in those first couple of crucial laps, and they did that over the soft tyre runners, and they've just been able to stretch that gap at the start as they needed to over Max van der Geest, who was in third at the time, and it's not been plain sailing. They had to get the moves done where they needed to, but look at that gap now. They're just pulling further and further away. It's been a perfect performance by the pair of them, and they can hold their heads high, hopefully, for their sake. Touch wood, there isn't a late safety car, which might, put a cropper to that. I hope I haven't jinxed that, but, commentator's curse. Who doesn't love that sometimes? Although I might then become their least favourite commentator and person in general if that were to happen. So fingers crossed for their sake, and that doesn't.
Yeah, hopefully there won't come a cropper for Alex Loffer at the moment in that one, because he's been absolutely pin precise throughout this entire race weekend as it stands. 4 DNFers from this one as well. We've lost both of our IRT drivers, we've lost a Bravo Racing Club driver, and we've lost critically one of the RSC drivers in Uopawop. So now it's all going to be about Epic Vale trying to find the points he can. Here's the battle for P3 at the moment here. Important for RSC this one, because of course they want to keep a very firm eye on whether Ventauri are going to be able to take points off of the back of Dirk as they now head their way down towards here. We've seen people lock themselves up too aggressively around here. Nice little switchback opportunity for Max von der Gies getting on the power. He'll have to go around the outside, switch maybe around the treble right-hander, but they maintain the status quo. Dirk defending quite nicely at the moment here from the Williams Mercedes, but lap 26 of 28, or lap 25 of 28 rather, when they come across the line right now, situation for them is pretty clear cut at the moment. Dirk is still going to lead the way, but he is able to defend quite nicely. But I tell you what, Max von der Gies is closest he's ever been now, I think, and he might be looking for it here. Around turn 1, around the outside he will go. Switchback opportunity for the Williams Mercedes. Use that overtake if you can, but very well defended once again from Dirk.
Indeed, very good. Put the car in the perfect place where he needed to. I'm not too sure if Max von der Gies really wants to go for a move at this point, because it just opens the door, not just for Ryderdal, but for Dirk to maybe have a chance again later on in the final lap or so. But yeah, I guess he has an idea and a strategy in mind. But saying that, regarding, obviously, as you mentioned, for RSC, the thing is with Ventauri, you know, currently in 4th and 7th, and, you know, they are 4th in the standings. They're 47 points behind RSC before tonight. And a good points haul from them will put them in a good chance of getting close to them. Maybe for P3 as it sounds. But here comes Max von der Gies now. He's 2/10 of a second behind that Alpine in front of him. Where will it be? To the left or to the right? It's to the right. It'll be the outside into the... what it'll be turn 12, but Dirk so late on the brakes. He really wants to keep this podium here, but Max von der Gies now has the inside for 13 in through 14. Then it'll be turn 15 on the left here. What does Dirk do? He's on the inside. He hugs the apex. Does he block the line? He does, but there's just enough room for Max von der Gies with better traction. He gets the move done eventually, and Ventauri back in P3.
Yeah, perfect positioning here for Max von der Gies. Ryderdal is trying to put Dirk under pressure, but actually he's put himself under pressure in doing so. He tried to get in touching distance of Dirk, try and put him off, and he's put himself off in the process. He stays in P5, but only just. Max von der Gies now leading the way, lap 26 of 28. Dirk is off of the podium. Late breaker, sending it straight down the inside of turn 1, and it looks like it was very late on the brakes for Max von der Gies as well. He couldn't get the switch back. He's now relegated back down to 4th in this race here. Gap around 2/10 of a second. Another gap of 2/10 of a second for Silo, by the way, all over the back of Polymassy. That's the other BRC driver who's still in for 8th place as it stands. But remember, with that time penalty for Silo, that's going to be the make or breaker for him, because they've got so many people tucked in behind. As it stands, Silo will fall from 9th all the way down to 12th.
Indeed, it's whether or not that can get removed. I'll tell you what has happened, though, with Max von der Gies and Dirk squabbling in particular. Quantum has now joined the party for this final spot on the podium, and what was a 3-car battle is now a 4-car battle. Nicholas still doesn't quite have the pace to live with these guys, even with the battling that they're doing. But here comes round number 4, I want to say, between Max von der Gies and Dirk. But Dirk defends the inside brilliantly once again. Is he going to hold the inside again? Sort of does the middle of the track. Max von der Gies with a bit of a switchback once again. It's a carbon copy of the last lap. Dirk down the inside. Can he do a better job on holding that inside? He runs wider on purpose this time. Does not offer the inside to Max von der Gies, off to be on the outside. Yeah, and Dirk holds on once again as the 2 AMR boys start the penultimate lap of this race. But this battle for P3 is getting spicier and spicier as Max von der Gies has a bit of a wobble. Ryderdal so late, and the brakes going into turn 20. Quantum just watching from behind just to see if anything happens. But here we go once again. Lap 27 of 28 as Max von der Gies send it down the inside. Dirk defends. Max von der Gies fakes it, goes back to the racing line, puts himself off, opens the door for Ryderdal to get a sniff down the inside. We've tyre locked again between 2 more drivers. Thankfully, no big issues for these two.
Polymassy, wow, wow, wow. Okay, so managing to get past Nicholas and Silo, now up to P7 after losing one position. He's gained 2 in that one. Very good stuff from the BRC man, who of course doesn't have a time penalty to his name either, while Silo does. Very good in that midfield at the moment. Back towards the front, you've still got that very strong battle for P3 as it stands, but Max van der Gies has lost time after making that mistake at the penultimate corner of turn number 19. That's offering potentially an opportunity for ETA's Ryderdal to get all over the back here. He is using overtake, but he's already hitting the limit of his battery power at the moment as Max van der Gies. That's that red flashing light you can see halfway down the straight, so he's having to recharge those batteries a lot earlier than everyone else, and with a lap and a bit to go, that is the worst time possible for that situation to be happening. Gap between Dirk and AMR, by the way, is now 16 seconds.
That's the difference between 3 and 4 lap pressure tyres as they start the final lap of this race, and they'll be thinking, what the hell's been going on behind them? They've just been cruising, ever since they made their final pit stop. But through the penultimate corner comes Dirk, closely followed, and they said that the wrong way around then, by Max van der Gies, Ryderdal and Quantum, who again has just been watching these from a distance, thinking, but what can he do about them? I tell you one thing I have looked at is Dirk's front right tyre in comparison to those behind him, and it's in much worse of a state. Even just by one lap, it's in so much of a worse condition compared to the 3 drivers in behind. Silo's still in P7 ahead of Polymassy. Lorenz now gets a move done on Epic Vale. We're tyre hooking again. What is with tyre hooking tonight, guys? Let's just, calm it down a little bit. Again, at least, Silo with a second time penalty of what has been a bit of an untidy race from the SMI, and he was kind of cemented to P12 as was anyway, but that's just now put any other issues, any other possibility of getting a penalty removed to bed as we come through turn 11 with this battle for P3. But Max van der Gies he's 6 tenths behind. He's not had the best of exits compared to Dirk, but can Dirk maintain this P3?
Yeah, he's going to be wanting to try and defend this one as much as he can, using all the overtake available. He's going to have to be a much later breaker here and staying within touching distance of the Alpine Renault in front. We have to go very briefly over back towards the front in just a few short moments, because at turn number 19, as it stands here, it has been absolutely fantastic for the first of our Spanish teams at the moment. They finally get that race victory they've been looking for. AMR are race winners in Season 7 of WR Legacy Division. It's our 8th team to take a victory here, but who's going to be on that final spot for the podium? Dirk is still in touching distance to get that final spot. Max van der Gies might have to just concede this one is done. He might have been defending this one really in the end against Ryderdal, but he'll finish in P4. Dirk finishes in 3rd. Ryderdal is in 5th with Quantum in 6th. Polymassy comes across the line in 7th from Nicholas from Epic Vale finishing in 9th. Laurent finishing in 10th. Silo with those 6 seconds of penalties falling into a very lowly P11. Justin's in 12th. Uncle down in P13. It's been a very uncharacteristic couple of races here for Uncle. Silo's just left in pure frustration from that one. Harm is 13th. Flamau is going to be finishing in 15th place, with Robin finishing in 16th. Silo will of course regain his position of P11 as a result of that one, but it is all about that first Spanish team, AMR Esports. 339 points going into this one against RSC, who have only got one person in 9th place. They could be P2.
I think it's fair to say they will be P2. 26 points was the gap going into the start of tonight. And yeah, with a first and second, and like you said, I think Epic Vale finishing in P9. I think they have taken over that second place in the standings and actually closed the gap to SCI on that front. But Dirk at least holds on to P3, and that undercut by pitting early, one lap earlier in into that final stint onto the second set of mediums did work very well for him. So Dirk at least doing a decent job there, considering he didn't have the best of qualifying. As we know, he spun trying to go on the soft tyres. So and so from 11th to 3rd is a decent effort there from Dirk. But it is AMR who take victory, and only the second team this season, I believe, to get a 1-2 finish here tonight at Koto, followed by Dirk in P3. But what a battle that was.
What a battle that was indeed. Folks, RSC are officially P3 in the standings with that result. Alex Loffer first and second from Dirk in P3. Max von der Geest is fourth from Ryder Dahl in fifth. Quantum is sixth. Polymassy is seventh from Nicholas from Epic Vale from Laurence. Justin, Uncle, Harm, Flamau, Robin and Silo. Silo will finish in P11 with Yowapawop, Bino, Seeb and Phil DNFing from this race. We are wrapping up this title very quickly indeed, aren't we? We're going over to our Mystery Grand Prix next time out on April 21st. We don't know where we're going to be, so we'll find out alongside you guys next week before we wrap it up at where else but Sao Paulo, the Brazilian Grand Prix, for a sprint race weekend to the end of this season, which has been absolutely mental, to put it bluntly. A variety of different setups. We finished with the Banhards, another great race indeed, but it's the Mystery Grand Prix and a bit more sense of normality, of course, back to the normal Formula One sort of format at the Mystery Grand Prix. You know, any specific circuit tickle your fancy here, Adam?
Well, considering obviously the calendar that we have and what tracks, could still be, a possibility. I mean, don't know, actually. Come to think of it, there's a few tracks I would like to see, but it's what does Luke pick is the question. If it is Luke that picks this second mystery race of the season. I actually can't think. What do you think?
Well,
I can't decide between two.
I think for me, it would be magnificent for us to take a trip, I think, to just Britain. I think it'd be nice if
that was one of my two.
I think it'd be a nice place just to have a little bit of a sense of normality at a circuit where there's obviously some great racing. If you're not going to do Britain, you want to do something a little bit bizarre. I think we could do Qatar, despite the fact that we did it as a qualifier. I'm not sure.
I didn't think Qatar just for that reason.
It'd be interesting to see what we decide anyway, because that was all the way back on January 20th. Wow, time flies anyway. Situation report, of course, SCI have not become champions here tonight. They can be crowned champions, though, next time out at the Mystery Grand Prix. They only need to outscore AMR by 40 points, I believe it is, to end up being crowned champions here. So situation for them, simply put, is they're in the driver's seat. But RSC, after that poor performance tonight, are going to be down in P3 overall, and AMR have taken second place in the standings. Question is, though, who's going to be the team that ends up potentially getting that final spot for automatic qualifying as well? That's something to consider. In the midfield, what's going to happen for those? Are ETA going to be able to bounce back? And then down towards the back, IRT, FST and BRC have got their own little scrap, and a double DNF for IRT is the last thing that they needed. Should be an absolute blinder. You'll be here. I know Adam will be here next week, and you guys should be with me as well for that one. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time for our Mystery Grand Prix on April 21. Take care. Ta-da!